join us on Patreon, and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
The annals of history often tell tales of conquest, resilience, and transformation, but few narratives are as compelling and deeply woven as the intricate history of the Sioux Nation. This powerful confederation of tribes, known for their fierce independence and profound spiritual traditions, holds stories that extend far beyond the boundaries of conventional historical accounts. Among these hidden chapters lies an often overlooked narrative, the presence and influence of Black lineage within the Sioux Nation. This concealed heritage challenges commonly accepted histories, revealing a rich tapestry of interconnected identities and shared struggles that forge bonds of survival, kinship, and cultural exchange. Delving into this story unravels a profound exploration of how African and indigenous lives intersected, blended, and thrived against the backdrop of colonial expansion and systemic oppression. To understand the emergence of Black lineage within the Sioux Nation, it is crucial to first contextualize the historical landscape of early America. The era of European colonization introduced waves of forced migration, displacement, and exploitation that reshaped the lives of countless indigenous and African peoples. Enslaved Africans were brought to the Americas in staggering numbers, uprooted from their homelands and thrust into a brutal system of bondage. Simultaneously, Native American tribes, including the Sioux, faced relentless encroachment on their ancestral lands, coerced treaties, and violent conflicts that sought to erode their sovereignty. Amid these turbulent dynamics, unlikely alliances and interactions formed between African and Native communities, rooted in shared experiences of oppression and a mutual desire for autonomy. Runaway slaves often sought refuge among Native American tribes, fleeing the relentless pursuit of slave catchers and the inhumane conditions of plantation life. The vast, untamed landscapes of the Great Plains provided a sanctuary where bonds of solidarity could flourish. The Sioux, known for their warrior culture and resistance to colonial domination, offered shelter and sometimes integration into their communities for these fugitives. Over time, these alliances evolved beyond mere protection, giving rise to familial ties and intermarriage. Through these unions, African bloodlines became subtly interwoven with Sioux heritage, creating a lineage that has long been obscured by mainstream historical narratives. The process of cultural integration was neither uniform nor universally accepted, yet it unfolded in ways that enriched both African and Sioux traditions. Shared knowledge in agriculture, survival techniques, and spiritual practices fostered a unique cultural symbiosis. African-descended individuals who found refuge among the Sioux adapted to their ways of life, learning the Dakota or Lakota languages, participating in communal rituals, and even rising to positions of respect within the tribe. Conversely, they brought with them ancestral knowledge of herbal medicine, craftsmanship, and resistance strategies that resonated with the Sioux's own struggles against colonial forces. Oral traditions within the Sioux Nation contain traces of these intertwined histories, though they have often remained veiled from public discourse. Elders speak of ancestors with distinct physical features, dark skin tones, tightly coiled hair, blended seamlessly into the fabric of Sioux society. These stories, passed down through generations, hint at the silent endurance of African lineage within the tribe. Yet, due to the pervasive influence of colonial ideologies and the stigmatization of Blackness in American society, many of these connections were deliberately muted or erased. In a world that sought to divide and categorize, acknowledging Black ancestry was fraught with social and political consequences. The erasure of this lineage was further compounded by government policies aimed at rigidly defining racial identities. The U.S. government, through mechanisms like the Dawes Act and blood quantum laws, imposed arbitrary classifications on Native peoples to control land ownership and limit tribal sovereignty. Individuals of mixed heritage, particularly those with African ancestry, faced exclusion and disenfranchisement. These policies not only fractured communities, but also obscured the rich, multi-ethnic realities of tribes like the Sioux. Families with African roots were often pressured to downplay or conceal this aspect of their identity to maintain their tribal affiliations and access to limited resources. Despite these challenges, traces of African influence persisted in subtle yet profound ways. Cultural expressions in Sioux art, music, and oral storytelling bear echoes of African rhythms and motifs. Traditional dances and ceremonial practices, though distinctively Sioux, may carry undertones of African heritage woven through generations of shared experience. Language itself evolved, with certain words and phrases bearing the imprints of African linguistic patterns subtly integrated into the Sioux lexicon. These cultural markers, while not always overt, stand as quiet testaments to a history of resilience and cultural fusion. The shared struggle for survival and dignity forged deep bonds between Black and Sioux communities, particularly during periods of heightened resistance against colonial and governmental oppression. During the Indian Wars and later the Civil Rights Movement, alliances between African Americans and Native Americans found renewed strength. Activists recognized their shared grievances against systemic discrimination, land dispossession, and cultural erasure. The legacy of figures who embody both African and Sioux heritage serve as powerful symbols of unity in the face of relentless adversity. These individuals stood as living embodiments of two resilient cultures intertwined by struggle and resistance. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in uncovering and reclaiming these hidden histories. Scholars, activists, and descendants have begun to piece together fragmented stories, challenging the monolithic narratives of both African American and Native American experiences. Genetic research, oral history projects, and cultural revitalization efforts have illuminated the profound connections that defy simplistic racial categorizations. Within the Sioux Nation, there is a growing recognition of the need to honor and celebrate the diverse ancestries that constitute the tribe's identity. This reclamation of history is not merely an academic exercise, but a profound act of healing and empowerment. The journey to acknowledge the hidden Black lineage within the Sioux Nation is far from complete. It demands an unflinching examination of uncomfortable truths and a willingness to embrace complexity over simplicity. Yet, in doing so, it offers an opportunity to enrich our understanding of identity, resilience, and the enduring power of cultural convergence. It challenges us to dismantle the rigid racial boundaries imposed by colonial legacies and to celebrate the multifaceted heritage that defines us all. In the echoes of the plains and the whispered stories of elders, the hidden Black lineage within the Sioux Nation calls out to be recognized. It is a story of survival, adaptation, and unyielding spirit, a story that, once unearthed, has the power to reshape our understanding of history and illuminate the boundless possibilities of human connection. This forgotten narrative beckons us to listen, to learn, and to honor the rich, intertwined legacies that continue to shape the Sioux Nation and, indeed, the broader tapestry of American history.